How did you feel about them walking into this year? What is their grade after 2021? And what do they need walking into 2022?
And well, coming into the season, I predicted that the Buffalo Bills would be 13-4 and they would win the division. They did win the division, but they only finished 11-6 because Josh Allen regressed from a season ago. I'm going to give them a B- overall as a grade because they got some points back. I was absolutely giving them a C, but their performance in the divisional round and in the playoffs, they just completely destroyed New England and then had the thriller of a game against Kansas City and lost in overtime. So, they got their grade back up to a B. That's where they got those last few points from. But, coming off a 13-3 2020 campaign where they went to the AFC championship game, the expectations were Super Bowl or bust, and they busted. Josh Allen dropped the ball. He did kind of find his way, but he started the season off horribly.
Yep.
The team was still able to win, get to the divisional rounds. I still just had to give them a few of their points back. As far as their needs, they need interior defensive linemen like no other. They've got to learn how to stop the run. That game that they lost to New England was disgusting. The game that they lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars was disgusting. That just goes to show you that they have massive lapses and can be exploited for things that they're not able to do, which stopping the run is it. If you lose a game where a team actually runs the ball all but 3 plays in the entire game, there is a problem on your defensive line. So, that along with linebackers and multiple options at running backs, they generally don't run the ball. And the numbers don't suggest that they don't run the ball, but they don't really run all that often. The addition of Von Miller actually does go a long way in the upgrades on the defense. But, Duke Johnson, not really sure how much juice he's got left in the tank. He once was a really good running back, but we know what happens to running backs. Once they start to move, they're really just not that anymore.
Once they get the first bag, the money weighs them down, literally.
Yeah,
that's just what it is,
They
man.
brought in O.J. Howard. They got Jamison Crowder now. They've got depth on offense, but their offense was not the problem. Outside of a couple of bad Josh Allen performances, their offense was great. That's what you've learned to expect from Buffalo.
Yep.
But overall, they get a B-, and we'll see what they do moving into next season.
Heard on that. The Buffalo Bills, y'all know I had Josh Allen as actually my MVP pick when we walked into the 2021-2022 NFL season. Now, I did not have any preseason predictions for them. I would have said Josh Allen, probably would have won MVP. I would have picked Buffalo to go to the AFC title game. And I even had Bills Bucks as my Super Bowl pick before the season started. But like I mentioned, I wasn't on the show when we did the original AFC preseason expectations versus reality. But for the 2022 season, for the past NFL season, I will give Buffalo a B+ for their efforts. And we saw it, early on in the year. They had some games where it was against the Texans, it was against the Jags, like these teams that really had no business being in the ring and, trading shots with Buffalo were actually holding them down. We had a stretch where Josh Allen, and nobody wanted to not even hop on the wagon with me on this, but I was literally seeing Josh Allen not perform well against teams, playing down to his competition, falling short in the big moments, having bad throws, having these turnover-worthy plays, time and time again. And I understand Josh Allen, great guy, huge arm, one of the best runners, really a rich man's Cam Newton, right, who can throw the football. We've heard some of that go around the league. But, the reason they only get a B+ for me is because I do feel like they fell off in moments that really should have been theirs. I understand that they lost in a ridiculously great overtime game to a coin toss. We can't help that. That's what the rules are. But Buffalo, in my opinion, should have been in a better position than 11-6. They were much better than an 11-win team, and we saw them have to get some of that chemistry up, have to go after other parts of the team to where they have to focus on that because it wasn't going to be a system to get them to the Super Bowl. Now we talk about biggest needs. I agree with you, Fees, on interior defensive line, on defensive line in general. Got to be able to stop the run. And also leaning on running back as well. I know that they were actually top 10 in the league last year in running the football, but I know when you actually watch on film, when you see Josh Allen and how much he runs compared to the other running backs, it doesn't really feel like that. I know, I want to say, no, was it Breda? Breda did leave. I want to say he plays for the Giants now. So you obviously want to get someone back there with a Zach Moss, with a Devin Singletary, just one more back that can maybe take place on one of those two, because those guys are good, but I do feel like they can be replaceable. Buffalo's great all the way around. Secondary, linebackers. Now they've got Vaughn in the house. Get some defensive line presence and get some more running backs, because the Bills had the second best O-line in the league last year. They gave up less than 30 sacks all year. So we know they're clear on that aspect.